Hello there. The World Health Organization and its partners have said they hope to provide Africa with about 30% of the COVID-19 vaccines the continent needs by February 2022, badly missing the 60% vaccination coverage goal that African leaders had once hoped for this year, 2021. On this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda, we look at plans in place to develop vaccine manufacturing capacity here in Rwanda. You will be with me, Mutoni. Out of 5.7 billion doses of coronavirus vaccines administered around the world, so far only 2% have been in Africa. Manufacturers of COVID-19 shots have been accused of denying African countries a fair chance to buy them. The African Union has urged manufacturing countries to lift export restrictions on vaccines and their components.
Now we have vaccinated I think around 20% of the people that were targeted to be vaccinated. Others are still around 3%, 5%, and others also around that 20 maybe, as Rwanda is. So it's been too slow. It has been frustrating. It has been, there is a lot of discomfort even in talking about it.
The dire economic effects of the pandemic has severe adverse implications for developing countries. Vaccination has the potential to contribute sustainably to improving population health and thereby economic growth. We look at the possible alternatives to address the vaccine shortage.
So one way of addressing that has been to try and accelerate what is happening already. How do countries get more vaccines, those that have not been vaccinating or have not vaccinated sufficiently, whether getting vaccines bilaterally, donations from countries that have vaccines to give. That has happened, or through COVAX, or through whatever means. We are trying to say, whatever means to be used, let's get vaccines. And Africa is still very much on the lower end of things. The other process which takes a bit of time, is medium, long term, has been to find ways, actually these vaccines can be manufactured in Africa and serve Africans first, but serve the market, the wider market as well. So that one is also happening. That's how some countries on our continent are already involved in activities that may see them start manufacturing vaccines.
In September this year, the International Financial Corporation said they will support Rwanda to develop a vaccine manufacturing facility and contribute to expand vaccine production here on the continent. The partnership will focus on supporting Rwanda's recently announced association with Biotech, a leading biotechnology company, to explore establishing end-to-end manufacturing facility for mRNA vaccines. Zephanie, Niyonkuru, the Deputy CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, shares more.
The government of Rwanda, through the Rwanda Development Board, signed an agreement with the International Finance Corporation, which is one of the institutions of the World Bank Group. And the agreement is related to vaccine manufacturing. And so what we want to do is really to work on the framework.
Resilient health systems are not only necessary for the achievement of universal health coverage and the provision of quality healthcare, they are also a must for global health security. And this is what Rwanda aims for.
We're looking at different vaccines, definitely one of them being COVID-19 vaccine. But it's beyond the vaccine. It's really making sure that we build a strong healthcare system, we build an ecosystem. So that's why, in addition to manufacturing, we also have a component of skills development. So we have a COVID, but for example, with what has been signed with what being discussed with Biotech, there's also a component of TB, there's a component of malaria. So it's making sure that we build our healthcare system from human resources to manufacturing of vaccine, and then not for one type of vaccine, but even build the capabilities that will help us to react or to respond to other pandemics that will be in place. That's why for example, what we signed with what we have with Biotech, the technology that they're using is the mRNA, which really provides an opportunity to kind of quickly scale up.
Currently, there are at least 5 African countries that manufacture vaccines at different levels. But the African continent, a continent of 1.2 billion people and 55 member states, still imports 99% of its vaccine and consumes 25% of the global vaccine supply. The pandemic has been a wake-up call for the continent to strengthen the sector.
The health care system, what we've seen with COVID-19, we've learned that we cannot keep on depending on the rest of the region. We need to build our own infrastructure. We need to build our own manufacturing plants so that we can be able to also serve our people.
What is required for Africa to build its healthcare infrastructure? Here are some insights into the type of investments needed to build capabilities for pharmaceutical manufacturing on the continent.
It requires input from different stakeholders, whether it's government, whether it is the private sector, whether it is non-government organization, international partners, to be able to support in skill development, in technology transfer, market development, and capital risk for these kind of projects, because these are basically long-term projects and they need risk capital. And where we are seeing that most of our banks, they are a bit risk averse. They don't want to invest in this kind of project because these are not projects that they are familiar with. So we need we have to come together with all these partners and see how we can make it work.
For this investment, it's going to be a kind of blended financing and also syndication. So we have development financial institutions that are interested. We have the government, of course. We also have members of the private sector. So it's going to be a syndication and also blended financing to make sure that we tackle all the aspects of the value chain.
Rwanda's efforts to manufacture vaccines are taking shape as the country looks to bring on board key partners. Zephanie Niyonkuru, the Deputy CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, takes us step by step.
It should be in phases, but in terms of the first output, we can probably project 2022. But again, it's going to be in phases. You're going to have, in the end, we have quite a number of processes. You have either manufacturing protein or the raw materials, then you have encapsulation processes, and then you have fill and finish. But in terms of really having the vaccine manufactured in Rwanda, we believe that next year we should have the first output.
Kigali, which generates close to 50% of Rwanda's national GDP, has been hit particularly hard by the pandemic and has gone into lockdown 3 times since March last year, when the first case of the virus was reported in the country. But as the country intensifies mass vaccinations, business owners and managers are optimistic business will fully resume.
2019 was a fantastic year. It was a phenomenal year, not just for Rwanda, for the entire world in terms of travel. Everybody wanted to travel. There's such ease of travel. I think I'm not sure what you call full recovery. For me, recovery is people wanting to come to a destination like ours that is off the grid, and I'm wanting to discover an incredible destination. So I think we are getting there. In terms of full recovery, I think what can be done, I think we were looking at emerging markets. I think, of course, with the key markets that we had with the US, Europe, but we wanted to focus on Australia, Asia, which has very high net worth, your ultra high net worth. There's a population of ultra high net worth people that want to spend and who are also much younger. But I think that we'll certainly see recovery, especially if we're looking at the emerging markets and the region. I think the region is definitely one that we need to look at.
The time the government vaccinate 90%, I hope we will move from 30% inside, 50% inside, like we'll go on 75, which is good on the business.
So far, more than 1.5 million people in Rwanda have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine here in the country. Of these, more than 500,000 have been double jabbed. That is according to the Ministry of Health. The medium-term target is to have at least 60% of the population vaccinated by 2022. Although many countries in the West have inoculated majority of their population, with some going ahead to approve booster shots, others in less developed countries are at a disadvantage as they struggle to administer even a single shot to their citizens. This is because of access to vaccines has been complicated by export restrictions imposed by the West. That's a wrap on today's episode of Doing Business in Rwanda. Here with me, Naringwa Fiona Mutoni. To watch other episodes, do visit our website at cnbcafrica.com. Thank you so much for tuning in.